Did you ever wish there was a blueprint for your life? Some way for you to figure out who you are, how you could guide your life and become insanely successful, happy, and in love with yourself? And if you only had a way to know how to do that and a way to understand the world, because you'll look at the world and wonder what's happening with it. Why is it looking the way that it does? And what am I supposed to do with it? And I was given that plan. Wilhelm gave me that plan, and it's a plan that will take you to your best life and cause you to live the life that you're meant to have. And eventually, it starts to change the world because everything is energy. And we move through the world understanding that at different times, meaning different times that we might live. This is 2025, so we do know more things than we did 50 years ago. And those new things come about from people who have lived them, and I've lived all of them. I'm 74, so I do understand. But then something else can happen. You can wake up and discover that you've been given a gift that you didn't even know you had, that you maybe ran from it, or you just doubted that it was there, or you thought you were an imposter. Yeah, I know all of those because I lived that as well, and none of them are true. You were born to do something really incredible and wonderful, and I do know that. Now, I could not have told you that I would have turned into a mystic, a sage, or a prophet, or that I would have spent 36 years bringing in information that I didn't even understand why I was doing it. But I can look at the world today and I know why. Because I was given the solution that would not only cause you to live a really great life, but you would then help create a really wonderful planet. Because that's why we're all here. I was just given a way to do it. Now, how do we know if it works? It healed every aspect of my life. You start to understand science. And science means that everything is energy, and the way that you use energy on yourself is going to produce a particular result in your body and your life and how you experience the world. And then we pass that on to others. That's what's called the ripple effect. Then, if we can understand something or believe it, then we can give it to others and then they can do it. And eventually we all evolve. That's how evolution has always occurred. We're just doing it a little bit differently at this moment. But I was prepared for that. That's what Wilhelm gave me a message some time ago because I was questioning, why is everything so difficult and challenging in my life? Why am I going through all these terrible things? And they sat and said, well, we want you to look at your life a little differently now. And they said, you were being prepared. And I will say that's true for everyone. If you're living at this time in our world, you were prepared because there's something within you that if you were to develop it and own it and love it, you would not only change your life, but also our world. And that is what I'm doing now. And it felt so uncomfortable to say those words, especially several years ago when I knew that I could understand your difficulty. That's when I started doing channeling. That's when I started doing live channeling. See, I wrote it for years, every single day for more than 36 years. That's what I did. But then when I started doing live channeling, I accessed something different. And I knew that I could answer anyone's question. And so now I have to turn my life to doing that a lot more because it's been revealed to me in such great ways. And I can see what's happening in our world. And if we don't change and accept ourselves and love who we are, then the world just keeps going sideways. That's how it seems. That's not what's happening. We're all here to create something, but we have to let go of our old stuff. The reason that the philosophy that Wilhelm gave me, that came through me, the way that it worked, is that it caused me to deal with all the systemic issues that have been in my lineage. We're all affected by that. We can't create a society unless we're willing to look at the things that have held us back. And Wilhelm gave me a way to look at all of those things that have held back you, because you can't operate as a human if you're operating with a consciousness that tells you you are not enough, that tells you somehow you are inferior, that somehow because you were born female, that you don't have equal rights. or because you are a person of color or you speak a different language and you go to another country and you're not welcome, that somehow something's wrong with you. Wilhelm says, no, that's never true. That every single soul comes to the earth plane with purpose and wisdom. And when we understand it, we live great lives and we have different roles. My role was to bring in this information to give to you, but I doubted it just as you did, meaning doubting what you could do. We always do that because it's in front of us. So I decided to look at today earlier. Two things happen, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to leave this for you because there are no accidents. You are not here accidentally. You were born at a perfect time. You have a genetic code that's within you. And now that we have ways for you to discover that, you might believe it a little bit more. Because what I did was I used artificial intelligence to really disseminate the messages, just to analyze the messages that Wilhelm had given me, and then attach it to my birth date. How does that work? Many people have studied sciences, the physics and ancient geometry. I mean, all kinds of things that you might think of that have been going on for years. But sometimes we don't believe that. People will never believe, a lot of people won't believe astrology, but they might understand astronomy. And see, that's just a difference in the word, but the energies that change are the same. But the interpretations that have happened have been passed down from humans over time, which is why you have a field of astrology, which is why you have psychology, because people kept developing it as they lived and realized that they could live in a much better way. And that's what I was given. And the result is this: you end up loving yourself. And so I can talk about this now because it was so uncomfortable before, because no people thought you are out of your mind. You don't have this. How could this be happening? Even the doctors, they said, how are you healing? How did you do this? And I would hide from it too. I would tell my one doctor, please don't talk about it. I can't tell people yet. I can tell you now because it's really important, because I want you to live your best life. And so what I'm going to do, and I want our world to be very different than what it is. And so what I'm going to do is finish all this work. But what's happening now, I just heard this earlier. I talked about it, but I got more information. There were two dates that came up, March 13th and 14th. And I go, did Wilhelm give me something for that? And is it related to what's happening in our world and to me and this work? Yeah, all of it was. And that's something that I could think, "God, it's probably accidental." There's nothing that's accidental. It's just that we don't understand it. And then there was one message. I want you to remember this. When they first started telling me what was going to be happening in the world, what we would be moving through, there was one message that they gave us that said, the more you know, the less you understand. And what that message was saying is that we think that we know something. We think that we know how things are unfolding and how everything is working. We never know that because it's always in front of us. There's no human that has the answers to everything that occurs. We do it as we live, and we will do it differently. But it's our judgment about that that has caused us all the difficulty. You see, Wilhelm said, you're going to run into all the judgments that you've had about yourself and everyone else. And that's where we are. But look at this. This is what's going to happen coming the 13th and 14th. And so you might be willing to really own yourself now, because that's what we're all meant to do. There's no other reason for you to have been born except to live a life that can give you joy, pleasure, and abundance. And I know you can do it because I've been given the path that would lead you there. And that doubt came up for me, so I understand it for you as well. It was doubt from everyone who's also known me, so don't worry about that. Uh, but this is what came up when I did this little research to see, and I'm going to leave this for you. And as you can see, it is the solution to your life. And all I did was took the messages that Wilhelm had given me last year in 2024 on those dates, on the 13th and 14th, and I said, what do they mean? And you can see these messages align remarkably with the themes of the upcoming eclipse on March 13th through 14th, 2025, and Wilhelm's ongoing guidance regarding planetary ascension and personal transformation, here's what I see. And it goes through the messages and breaks them down as to these things that we could probably not understand before. But that's how I receive the information. And you will see that it's completely aligned with what we are experiencing. There's nothing happening in our world now that Wilhelm hasn't told us. The disruption, the anger, the wars, all of it. It's been there because it's energetic shift that we're moving through. Now, the bigger picture now, Wilhelm consistently points to 2012 as the beginning of the planetary transition. Now, when I first was told that, I didn't remember about 2012, and then everyone else told me, but I had already written it all. I had already received it. And so this is why I do know what you can accomplish. And I'm going to go through and talk about so much more of this. So then what I did is something fun, and this is something you can do just to get a better sense of who you are. I have also have my clients do a lot of these things where they will use different charts and things. I love using even 16 personalities because that is so aligned with what Carl Jung has given us all. Anyway, so then we took it together, put it together with my birth chart, which I had that information. Again, I'm not an astrologer. This is just how the information came through. But when you read through it, you will understand a lot more because you will relate to it if any of you are into that, into astrology, or just the movements of the planets. If that's something, if you're more into astronomy, you'll find something interesting. Now, takeaways and what to do next. Look at the gifts you've been hesitant to accept. And that was me. I didn't even want to tell anybody about my channeling, about how I received all of this. And I hid it for 20 years. And even that was as healing me, it was still uncomfortable, not because of what it was doing, but because people weren't going to understand it or believe it. So, but now you have something, and now that the world is changing, more people are understanding what Wilhelm had been talking about for all of these years. And you can listen to yeah. So I'm going to leave that so you will have it. Some of you will find it fascinating, but just know nothing in your life is happening accidentally. You are here to do something wonderful. You may have had challenges. I had every challenge you can possibly think of, which is why I'm doing this work now. I don't want people to suffer. I've gone through it all. You don't have to do that. I've lost everything. I've gone through illnesses, and this work healed everything. And when you understand that it's your consciousness, and your consciousness has been just programmed from something else, and you can let go of it. But we're going to see more of that in our world, which is why I have to move forward because we have to up level the energy. So I'm going to leave the links. Eventually, you can sign up for come to the channeling sessions because they will be up soon. But I wanted to give you this now so that you can prepare because we will in the next few days have some other energetic shifts happening, but it's about you understanding your importance and why you are on this earth. Because it is an important reason, and especially now. See you soon.